I'm your friend Vikas Bhardwaj, and in this video we are talking about life in the Vedic age. Since we know that before discovery of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, it was believed that the history of India starts with Aryans. You must be familiar with the term Aryaputra or Aryavrat. So the idea is that Indian history before the discovery of Harappan civilization was seen to be beginning with Aryans, but now we know since that Harappan civilization was there. Still there is a research and you can say different debates going on whether they were contemporary or whether Harappan civilization and life in Vedic age, or you can say Indo Aryan culture is same. But then we are not going into that point right now. I am just sharing with you that Aryans came to India, it is believed, from Iran or say parts of Central Asia, because certain other groups were also going as they were moving towards India from Iran, from Central Asia, from Caspian Sea. Some other groups were also moving towards Europe or West Asia. So in order to distinguish those parts with India, Indian group was called Indo Aryans. So Indo Aryans is the term used for those who migrated to India. Initially it was believed that they have invaded, but then now we can say that it was not invasion on the basis of certain archaeological evidences, that basically it was waves of migration coming to India. I am also saying side by side that there are theories, there are ideas which claim that actually they have not migrated from anywhere, they were Indians only, they were proper, their home was India. So the question arises, what was the home of Aryans? And that is what have been debated and research is going on. Accordingly, we are putting up all perspectives. Similarly, the basis for Vedic Sanskrit is Indo Aryan language. So that is why it becomes very important, it becomes very prominent. Unlike Harappan civilization or Harappan culture, this culture was not based upon cities. This culture was not having great lavish or you can say materialistic growth. That is why we can understand more about this culture from not only archaeological evidences but also literary evidences, literature. Unlike Mohenjo-daro and Harappan culture or Indus Valley civilization, it is over here, that is Vedic age, which we can understand more from literary sources rather than from archaeology. Previously, since last 70 years, when more and more research have been done, it was initially believed that there are less archaeological evidences or there is no archaeological evidence as such by which you can prove it. But now excavations have been going on. For example, Hastinapur in UP and Ataranji Kheda, that is another site in UP. Some excavation have been done and it have been found that what kind of culture was there of Indo Aryans. So Indo Aryans, basically we understand them through literature, and that is how the world's first composition or you can say first literary event took place in India, and that is first when Indo Aryans migrated to India and they settled down in Punjab. And when you move little bit of southeast from there, that is about Delhi in Haryana, that was supposed to be the homeland, and that was supposed to be the prime land for Aryans. Aryans went on to contribute to not only the existing culture, but they added so many new values to it also. Initially they were pastoralists and they slowly settled down and they went on to have agriculture. But then, as I said, we are yet to find evidences of any kind of great cities. Cities were lost forever in this time, but then definitely we are going to have cities afterwards. So this is the period which is say about 2000 BC, or you can say second millennium BC, in which we are talking about. They are interacting with the locals. We can't say that Aryans were a different race or they didn't mingle with the local people. In all, it became a kind of a plural culture, and definitely there are certain indications that what kind of life and living they had. Aryans, they practiced pastoralism, and as I said, later on they are taking up agriculture also. We find many evidences. For example, painted grey ware. Ware means a vessel, and you can say another kind of pottery. For example, black and red ware. So these are examples, but basically Indo-Aryan culture or Vedic culture we identify with PGW, that is painted graveware culture. More if we throw light upon it, then we find that the 4 Vedas that were composed, they were Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda and Atharvaveda. So 4 Vedas were composed, and oldest among them is Rig Veda, which is actually dedicated to the worship of gods, or you can say they are religious hymns which are composed in praising God, which are a sort of worship. So how rituals should be practiced and how actual pronunciation should be there, it is given in these texts, which have been composed and they were transmitted orally, that is through Shruti and Smriti, that is through memory and by listening from one generation to another generation before they were finally written down. So we are not saying that Vedas were written in these time period, they were composed in this time period and later on they were written down. Similar is the case with 2 great epic poems, that is Ramayana and Mahabharata. The site of Mahabharata, Kurukshetra, is in Haryana only, and the time period for that is also starting at the same time and later on it is continuing. When we come to the life and also culture, so there was a king, but king was initially not elected. Someone with lot of strength was chosen as a king and he was having lot of following. People were also not forced to pay taxes, they will be giving whatever they want to give voluntarily, and that is how king will be protecting the common you can say areas, or you can say group of people. At the same time, we can say that king will be dependent upon certain ministers. Not like today, he was not having an elaborate cabinet system. He was having a rudimentary system in which most important role was to be played by, say for example, Senani. Senani means commander. Similarly is Purohit who is going to do rituals, and they will be acting as a kind of important people. Similarly was the role of messengers. So messengers will be there who will be talking among different villages and different groups, because as I said, there were different tribes and tribes are fighting with each other in order to control grazing lands, because they are practicing pastoralism in the beginning. That is why land was most important, but land was not a private property and land was not, you can say, divided. It was a common property, a common ownership of all. So king is having a rudimentary structure, but he is going to take advice of the complete people around. He is going to ask people around, not only in his own vicinity but far away areas also. That is why there will be gatherings, for example Samiti. Samiti will be gathering of entire people where discussions would take place. King would be taking advice and that's how he will be taking some kind of decision. And similarly is the role of Sabha. Sabha will be more you can say exclusive, in which everybody was not invited, but in both Sabha and Samiti in this period women were participating, women were part of it. Child marriage was not practiced and widow remarriages were not seen as something which is bad or which is a social stigma. So you can say in terms of social behavior, this period was a landmark period. It was showcasing a kind of a positive value which was continued for time to come. In this context, I would add couple of more points. For example, cow was a very important commodity. Cow was seen as a precious commodity in the sense it was more than symbolic worship. It was seen as a part of life, because none of the activities are completed without cow. Cow was given in donation, cow was seen as a productive animal, and that is how its value and reverence increased and it became integral part of the culture. Similarly is the case for carpenters. Carpenters were given a lot of value because they were having a great presence and they were playing very important role because they were creators of chariots. That is why different rituals were created. For example, Ashwamedha Yaga, in which horse will be asked to move on and whatever areas it will cover, king will be taking control over it. Similarly was the case of Rajasuya Yaga, that is king's coronation, and this ceremony was seen also as a kind of a symbolic ritual. So all these ideas and all these features were playing very important role in making life not only comprehensive but also a kind of a complete picture. So we will be talking about certain more ideas of Vedic age in our next video. Thank you very much. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share our channel, and get back for any questions and comments.